I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need. In the off-white Rari, baby, we run the streets. I'm a K-I-N-G, Westside royalty. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, that's all you need. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need.
Welcome back, everybody. You're on my podcast, Get It, and I'm your host, Steven Basita, and we are on the Social NOSTRA network. And today, my guest is Ryan Hollins. And for those who don't know much about him, he played in the NBA for a number of years, and we're going to go through his story and his journey and how he got to where he got and just what it was like getting there. So welcome, Ryan. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
So let's dive right in. I want to get into your story here. So you played in the NBA. Let's back it up. So when you were a kid, when did you start playing basketball, and when did you decide that playing professional was something that you wanted to do?
I think basketball for me started around these first, second grade. You know, I'd always kind of play with my buddies. But I remember watching the NBA Finals with Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, and, you know, my dad always told me I'd be tall. So, you know, basketball was something I liked to do. And I remember coming home one day, and in my backyard, my dad surprised me with a hoop. You know, I knew there's something different because either my mom or my dad at that stage, you know, I was so young, my parents would always pick me up. And my neighbor picked me up. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool, but you know, what's going on here? You know, they're kind of late, and he was in the midst of putting up a hoop in the backyard. So, you know, that's the greatest gift, you know, my father could have gave me. And I go back in there and I try to emulate, you know, the moves of those guys. So that was my first, like, you know, like experience falling in love with the game. You know, just watching those two guys play at that young age just really caught my interest.
Awesome. So as you start progressing, first of all, where'd you grow up so people know?
Pasadena, California.
Okay. So in Southern California. And for people that don't know, Southern California is one of the top, I would say 4, maybe 5 markets for basketball. And it's super competitive. There's millions of kids. They all play basketball. So as you started growing up and playing, did you end up playing club ball at any point in your career?
Man, it wasn't the same as it was now. So I actually didn't play club ball until I was like committed to college. You know, I played a little bit before then, but, you know, I felt like I didn't give a fair shake, and I just kind of quit or left the team. But, you know, I was 6'10" walking around with no club team, where now, you know, they'd have went and scooped you up and put you on a team or locked you up onto a team, you know, regardless where, you know, I actually didn't have a team. I just kind of played high school ball with my coach. And like I said, by the time I played, you know, it was later on. So, you know, I went the old fashioned route, so to speak.
How tall are you?
7 feet.
Okay. Just so people know. So I had Jamal on for this last week. And of course, Jamal came out to one of my camps, and I'm 6'3", and Jamal stood next to me as we took a picture and stuff together. And Jamal makes me look quite short, and I am 6'3". And he was also kind of slouched down a little bit to not make it look as bad as it really was. Like, dude, you guys are just so stinking tall. So I used to train Spencer Hawes.
I
lived in Seattle, and Spence is 7'2".
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, Spence would always stand next to me, and like, I'm his coach. And he'd stand next to me, and he'd do the whole, like, put his arm on my freaking head. And I hated that, man. I'd smack his arm away. But yeah, guys are very, very large and in charge, man. That's you guys stick out like a sore thumb. So when did you get to be 7 feet?
I actually grew an inch in college.
Okay.
You know, coming in after my freshman year, and I looked up and it's like, yeah, no, I'm 6'11", but I'd probably be more like a legit 7.5, 7'1" with shoes on. So I got that inch in college, which was pretty cool. A lot of people, you know, thought I was done growing, but no, I had another inch, you know, legitimately, and grew. I was a late bloomer too, man. It took me a while just physically to grow into my body. I look like a big 6'9", 6'10" kid walking around, literally, so
Yeah.
I was still extremely young.
Yeah. So, okay, you get into high school, and where did you go to high school?
John Muir High School, Pasadena.
Okay. So you go to high school as a freshman, and I'm assuming you played varsity because probably the tallest kid in the whole school.
No, I was actually the tallest kid, but I was actually cut my freshman year off the team, and I didn't play. So I actually went on and played soccer because I wanted to do some level of organized sports,
Okay.
just to be used to being in a team and everything. But no, my high school coach didn't just cut me; he cut me out of the entire program. So it drove me crazy sitting and watching those guys play ball, and I couldn't play because I wasn't good enough.
So what did you do in the offs? So what did you do? So you got cut, which, first of all, not too many guys that end up in the NBA get cut from their high school teams. You got cut from the whole program. So what happened? What did you do? I mean, taking aside soccer, like, what did you do to prepare for the next year?
I figured conditioning would be important, the footwork, the mindset, learning how to, leadership. And, I still wasn't really super skilled coming back around, but, my body had developed. By the time we had summer ball tryouts, I went from 6'2" to 6'5". So growing obviously helped in growing into my body. But just being used to playing that, like, soccer, we run like crazy, to warm up, you warm up with a mile. I ran the furthest ever in my life in soccer, man. We went down to the Rose Bowl and like back around the Rose Bowl to the school. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. But, physically, I wanted my muscles to develop and be ready to play and take the rigors of basketball, and I know soccer is the closest thing as far as, you don't go vertically, but, you're running on different planes. So, I felt like it would be a easy, transition. So that was the best bet for me.
So you made your summer team.
Mm-hmm.
And how'd that go for you?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I was the worst guy on the team. I didn't have a position. Everything was new to me, but I was just so happy to be there that, my coach saw that I was willing to do anything that was asked of me. So it was a blessing in disguise because I didn't take it for granted. We did a running drill. I was sprinting. If we did a, whatever ball handling drill, I was doing it to the best of my ability because I couldn't take for granted being there. I didn't think I'd be cut, but I didn't know that I would not be cut, So for me, it was just 110% effort where I wasn't good. My skills weren't there, but I was just working my tail off to catch up to the rest of these guys who had been on the team prior.
So now your sophomore year happens, you try out for the team. So where do you end up?
Sophomore year, I actually played JV. So this is my first season. I played junior varsity, and I was blessed. Like the school I was at, man, we were extremely athletic. Now we didn't had a Division I player, but as far as just normal high schools, we were very athletic. So we had a stacked team because everybody, at that time wanted to play basketball. Like a lot of the guys who got cut could have made freshman and sophomore teams or JV teams at other schools. So a lot of guys would transfer out and go play. So for me, JV, I kind of split minutes and played, but it gave me an opportunity to play. And at that time, I'm 6'7". So, I was kind of coming into my own, and I had a few breakout games down the stretch, but, I still didn't get really too much of an opportunity. But for me, just being in practice every day and participating, and anytime my coach could sneak in some varsity reps with me, they really paid dividends. But, I was just excited to be in the program. Honestly, that was huge for me. And I didn't take the game, for granted at all.
So you walk into your junior year and you're on varsity your junior year.
Mm-hmm.
Are you starting?
No, I didn't. So the NBA player did not start on varsity his junior year. I came off of the bench.
So you started your senior year?
Started my senior year.
And when did you get your first offer?
I probably want to say I had a few visits, not any like offers. Maybe my junior going into senior year, I blew up.
Okay.
Because it was like, okay, I had a year of varsity under me. I had played, and now I felt like I was going into this leadership role, and I was just killing these guys because my body developed. Now I'm, 6'11". Now I had played a season. Now I'm dunking the basketball. And I still kind of had that hungry drive that my coach had. I'm still the guy who got cut from the team in my mind. I had that drive, and I kind of like, ignorance is bliss. I didn't know any different. So, I came on the scene and blew up at these camps because there weren't too many big guys. Like, at my high school, it was all guards. So, and we were defensive minded. So I'm doing full, close out, slide your feet, close out drill every day, one-on-one, close out to touch, hand to man, and then sliding back. I'm not thinking I'm 7 feet. I'm like, that's just normal. So you got a 7-foot guy that can close you out on the wing and then slide you and turn you on a perimeter, because all we worked on was defense. So, I blew up junior year, and those offers, they kind of started mid-major and they went on up. And it was just even a wild story getting to UCLA, but, a coach had kind of, had taken notice of me or taken notes, but, you kind of watch, hey, who's that kid? But it's hard to sometimes point out, okay, that kid is 6'7", but he's got no facial hair and a baby face. I think he's going to be really big, and I was that diamond in the rough that a lot of people maybe didn't see. And it's funny, people don't know, my dad was a, all CIF, track guy, hurdler, triple, high jumper, big time athlete. And I had his athleticism at 7 feet, but it just took a while for it to kick in.
So, all right, now let's talk about the offer that you accepted. So you accepted an offer, and what made you accept the offer that you took, and where was it to?
St. Louis University. Coach Lorenzo Romar, who's now the coach over at Pepperdine. I remember in the Fairfax tournament, Fairfax Summer League was big. I don't know how big it is now. They had like a summer classic. They were sponsored by Nike and everything. I think Nike's still involved in the school. It was big. And we went, and this is like my first time on varsity, because this is when the sophomores, the JV guys move up. So I'm playing with all of the older guys going into my junior year. And we had all these kind of Division I guys or the guys on the team. And I probably had a trip. I ran up the floor and I ran back. And Lorenzo Romar came over to the game and was like, hey, who is that kid? What are his grades like? We're going to be watching him. And my coach told me that after the game. And I was like, what in the heck just happened? But I remember Coach Romar. And as I matured, Coach Romar came back around calling, and he connected with me. And, his good faith and energy and the man that he is today, I committed to play for him because of that. And I knew he believed in me and was going to, develop me. And he started to see like, whoa, this guy is turning into something. And he would always talk about Jelani McCoy. And he's like, okay, you're big, you run the floor, you're trying to guard guards on the perimeter, and then you're trying to block shots too. You're doing a lot of things that, well, okay, I can turn this into something. So he really saw the building blocks at that time where others maybe, not maybe, they just didn't see it.
So you go and so wrapping up high school, did you ever win any awards or anything before you got into college?
I was like, all CIF or whatever on those teams, or what do they call the McDonald's All-American watch list, where everybody gets nominated for the game, but nothing really. The irony is, after my senior season in basketball, where we ended up losing in CIF, we didn't win anything special. I'm sure I was all league first team or whatever. I don't think I was I played? No, I don't think I was player of the year. But I go to track and field, and I did high jump and triple jump and long jump. My coach makes me do long jump and triple jump. I didn't want to do it because I was too cool to jump into the sand and get my pants dirty. So I ended up doing it. I faltered in high jump. Things didn't work out. I come out mad. I sprint as fast as I can go, and I end up progressing in triple jump. I had this monster jump, which didn't count because I jumped a couple feet past the line. Long story short, I take third in the state in triple jump. So I was the third best triple jumper in the entire state at 6'11" and 3/4.
There you go.
So
pretty impressive.
The irony is I win in track and field, and I couldn't do it in basketball, man.
So you go off to college. So how many years of college basketball did you play?
4 years.
And what made you decide to stay all 4 years versus going into the NBA draft a year or two earlier?
You know what? I wanted to put my name. I wanted to test the waters at the time, and my coach really discouraged me from doing that. There was a big regret of mine. I should have did it. because whether you're going to stay or not, there's nothing shame about. I think it was a very selfish move for my coach, to be honest, because he didn't want me to test the waters, because there's a chance a guy like me, as athletic as I was, could have gone. You know, a teammate said, man, shoot, we'll take the 7-foot guy with the 40-inch vertical, you know? So I ended up playing 4 years. My team makes it to the national championship. We lose to Florida, and it gave me an opportunity to go pro. But, you know, I just had a lot of ups and downs in my career, so it wasn't even a guarantee for me to do that. But I had a heck of a run where I was the most outstanding player in the region. My senior year, and my high school career mirrors my college career, and in some ways mirrors my pro career. You know, I've seen every element, every high, every low, on the bench, to starting, to cut, to not playing, to start on the team, to starting back over again, to leading your team to a national championship. So I like to believe, I'm thankful that I have a well-rounded life and career because of basketball. I've seen it, and I think people don't realize a lot of guys don't get to see how people treat them when they're not the best player on the team. Some guys have been the stars since the 8th grade, and they don't know that those people around them, they can't weed out the wheat from the weeds. They don't know who's on their team and who's not, you know? So I just had a blessing to be able to see that, because I'm like, okay, you and you were cool with me when I got cut. And okay, now all of you like me now that I'm the guy now.
Yeah. So speaking about that a little bit, and I want to get into those highs and lows. So, you know, obviously I would assume a low in high school was getting cut from your team. And then, of course, being on JV and then not starting on varsity. And it sounds like that was a great journey of having to really learn a different side of mental toughness. And, you know, I talk about the mental toughness side with everybody, because kids these days do not understand mental toughness overall. It's like speaking a different language to them. And, you know, I hate to say it, but kids these days are soft too, and they have one little challenge and it's a complete breakdown for them. And so I focus a lot with especially my high level high school kids, on mental toughness. I have a sports psychologist that they meet with twice a year. For you, going through the ups and downs that you went through, how did that develop you mentally? And did at any point you feel like you were mentally breaking, or did everything just continue to add fuel to your fire and you used it as motivation to continue to do what you did?
Crazy, man. I always felt like I was special. And even when I got knocked off my track, I just felt like I had a drive in me that wouldn't give up, you know, that can't give up. I think, you know, back to, you know, my father, he's so instrumental in my life, you know, miss him so much, man. Words can't even express. I was a little kid, we were playing ball in the backyard one day, and he was kind of letting me have it while we're playing. He's putting a whipping on me. You know, I talked some trash to him, he's putting a whipping on me. And I remember I told this is a story I always tell the kids, man. I always lead off with this. And he's talking trash to me, and I got so frustrated, tears welled up in my eyes. I couldn't take it anymore. And I walked to the basketball court, and I said, listen, Dad, I quit. I'm done. There's no more basketball for me. If that's basketball, like, that ain't it. Like, I don't want to play it. I don't want it anymore. And I remember I was walking down the driveway as I quit basketball for good, right? And my father calls me back over, and he says, listen, son, I don't care how hard things get. I don't care where they go. You never quit. You never, ever quit. No matter how hard things get, you always push and you fight and you lean forward. And we finished the game, and I had to put my ego and my pride aside. And when I finished the game, you know, it kind of meant a lot to me. But I know that I hit times in my career, in my life, that just leaned on me. I have this urge in me that I can never quit. And I've always, in some odd way, I just always felt like I was special. And, you know, it's funny, you know, a younger me has a message to all your soft kids who like to quit when things get tough, is I love those guys, because even though they were so much more talented than me in my journey and my road, you know, when they were quitting, I was jumping on that opportunity. You know, when they didn't want to do a sprint or they didn't want to listen to a coach, I was like, shoot, that's my opportunity. So I was never the most talented guy, but those opportunities allowed me to work hard and develop, where there were so many guys that were slotted, you know, far ahead of me. But I've always felt like I was special. And, you know, my father's ingrained that in me, like, you know, I can't quit. I can't walk away. And I've been in situations, like you said, cut from the team, you know, not starting my junior year, you know, not starting my senior year in college, where my back was against the wall, but I don't know anything. When my back's against the wall, I just fight. I fight. I find a way. And I believe I've been blessed to be able to do that, and come a game away or slot away or a time away from not moving on. But I've been blessed, obviously, to do it, because many don't get that chance. But I don't have quit in me, and I have to thank my Father for it.
Well, I think that's something that is such an important message for people, because so many people are quitters, and not just in basketball or football, just not in sports, but in life. People encounter a challenge and they just walk away. And I mean, my whole life, I've been the underdog. Maybe not my whole life now, but definitely up until my early 30s, I was always an underdog. So many people just like to hate on. I don't know why, man, but they're just everybody's always busy just throwing hate, and I just outworked everybody. The logo I have on, or the saying I have on all the warm-up shirts for my kids, it says outwork everyone. And I talk to them about that before they put it on, because I want them to understand the responsibility that they're taking on by wearing something like that. And, you hit so many important points that I think is just good for people to hear in general, just in life. Life is hard. Life is a struggle. There's always going to be people that are trying to pull you down. There's always going to be people telling you what you can't do. And like you just said about the soft-minded, I thrive off people's doubts. I was told I would never play college basketball. Walked onto the team I played for and got a scholarship. I was told I would never achieve all these different things I've achieved over life. And, it's so funny looking back, and all these different people that were so quick to throw salt, and they're not doing anything with their lives. I know people my age that still live at home. It's just crazy. It's just like, dude, you all said I wasn't going to do nothing with my life. Yikes. But, yeah, I just really love what you're saying. That's very important for people to hear, because it is so easy. It's very easy to quit, and quitting becomes a habit. Once you start quitting, that's the easiest route you can go. And the thing that's the most frustrating is the parents that pull their kids out because they didn't like that their kid didn't get enough playing time. And I tell those parents, and I usually wait a few days. I want to make sure we have a conversation where they're calm, and I say, look, you can have your kid quit, but what you're doing to that your kid psychologically is you're now making it okay that because you didn't get what you wanted, or they didn't get what they wanted, instead of working harder for it, or communicating with the coaches and asking why they didn't get it, or just communicating and working on those skills and learning how to persevere and push through something, you're just pointing them out. What's going to happen is you're just setting the tone for the rest of their life. And you're going to look back one day and you're going to have a 35-year-old child living in your house because they quit everything. And I have a family member who is just like that. She literally quits everything. And because of that, she is 30 years old, about to be 31, still lives at home. And it's just like, that's too bad. It's too bad that, and again, it's a habit. Quitting, excuse making, everybody's got out for me. Nothing's ever easy, especially if you want to be great and you want to do something. And, I always tell people too, because guys in the NBA that sit on the bench a lot, those were the best freaking guys in the world when they got drafted. And they're still some of the best players in the entire world, which is why they're in the NBA. And it's incredibly competitive. And people always say something like, dude, you have no idea. That person that's on the bench in the NBA was probably the star in high school, not just at their school, probably in the entire league, maybe in the entire city. Then they went on to college where they were again the star. And then they went into now they're in the pros. It's like, that person will destroy anybody else. Maybe not in the NBA, because that's the best 400 plus guys in the entire world. But tell you what, they get off that court, they're going to destroy somebody else's life real quick. People just don't get it. They don't understand the context. But getting into, so you've now been drafted. So let's talk about draft day for you. So you've done your senior year. You're going into the league. So what was draft day like, and when did you get drafted?
I was drafted 50th overall to the Charlotte Bobcats. And draft day was extremely stressful for me because I was we talked about I was the late bloomer. And, I went through darn near 20 plus workouts where I blew people away because of my level of conditioning, the things I'd done. I ended up having a 43.5-inch vertical at 7 feet. I was strong. I was, was shooting the mid-range shot at the time, not the three, and knocking that shot down. I was, I compete. I would do a lot of things that just would really intrigue teams. So I was told I could go anywhere from the 10th pick to the 50th pick. And I know that's such a crazy range, but, they like to have guys slated in for the NBA. And for a guy that was on the bench his senior year, it's kind of hard to slate him in to be a first rounder. I took multiple trips to, New Jersey, where I thought I'd be going there. I took, 2 or 3 visits again to Portland. I was invited, a couple of times there where I thought, I'd be a shoo-in to go to their organization. So there are a couple of teams that just drew big, the Supersonics, just drew big interest in what I was doing. And I thought that, I had a strong possibility to go higher. So, I was stressed out watching these guys that I knew I was better than get drafted over me.
I have to interrupt you quickly. You see that little hat right there on my screen? You know what team that is?
Oh, yeah.
That's my Seattle boy, born and raised, 25 years. I'm a diehard Supersonics fan.
I miss that team.
Sorry, continue. I just had to throw that out there because it's very important to me. Every single time that the Sonics come up, that people understand. That was like, dude.
That was fun. Those are good times. But nonetheless, I was at ESPN Zone with my family. I wasn't invited to New York for the draft. And, I'm frustrated. I'm upset. We're 10 picks away from it. And they go to a commercial break and I'm steaming, man. And then they start celebrating. I'm looking at my dad. I'm like, man, what are you celebrating for? So it ends up I'm drafted during the commercial. And I went from frustration to, 30 seconds later, I'm on the phone with Michael Jordan. And I'm like, dude, this is it. So it was a cool experience and opportunity, mentally draining. I remember going home imagine your whole life, flashing on a screen. And you don't know when you're coming up next or if at all. Thinking about being undrafted. I'm like, should I work my whole life to be drafted? Undrafted, oh, man,
so. And so people understand there's only 60 picks in the NBA. Only 60. So anything after 50 has got to be pure anxiety.
Anxiety, especially when you're thinking you're going at least top of the second round, mid-second round. I'm going and going and going. So it was a draining day. My wife was with me, to the day. She was there with me. And, I was just stressed, man. It was a lot, but listen, bro, they sent me out of there steaming. I left steaming. I left with a big chip on my shoulder. And I'm going to tell you that much right there. So I was always taught during the draft. Rico Hines did a great job training me for the draft that it was longevity, man. We always wanted longevity out the draft. And it didn't matter where you got drafted. It was about who lasted. So that was like my takeaway, but I was steaming draft day.
So I want to hit 2 questions. First question is, why were you not a starter your senior year in college? Because we talked about it a couple of times and I didn't hit onto why that was. So let's hit that first.
The coach who recruited me and kind of groomed me was fired after my freshman year. And it's UCLA, so I made the choice to stay. I still felt like there was a lot of opportunity there. And the coach, Ben Hallen, when he came in, he just had his mindset to get rid of everybody. He had his mindset to put his imprint on the program. So Steve Lavin's guys doing well didn't really bode well for him. So we would bump heads, and I wasn't his style of player. He liked the guy with footwork, patience on the block. And I want to run and dunk and block every single shot. That was kind of my mindset. So we bumped heads and we had differences. And, I think I could have handled things better as a player, but I'm young. I don't know any different. And for him, he just, at one point he just looked to bury me, he just looked to bury me, so it was honestly a bad mix, but I probably should have transferred, but it's just hard for me to quit, bro. It's just hard for me to quit. Even when things weren't going right, it was.
Well, I want people to hear that story though, because that's very, very important. You didn't leave a program. So many kids are quick just to up and leave, and you stayed. Now, obviously, there can be debate about it, right? Maybe that wasn't the best decision, but so many times if kids just stay at their school, it'll work itself out and it'll actually work out for their betterment. But kids are so impatient that the second something goes wrong, they abandon. And that's the worst attitude. You shouldn't quit. You should at least finish out your year. You should have communication. You should be able to try and work things out. And then after all that's said and done, if it doesn't work, then you make the decision. But I wanted to hit on that. Then the second thing. Okay. We talk about this anytime Michael Jordan comes up. There is one player I want to meet. One player. That's it. I only want to meet one guy. I've met Kobe. He's amazing. I've actually coached against him a few times. I actually got to know him. We had a good acquaintanceship. I always tell people we're not friends. We were acquaintances. Very humble guy. I enjoyed hanging out with Kobe. He's an amazing guy. He wasn't on my list. Michael Jordan is on my list. I have one of his trainers who worked for me. I can't get this guy to get me to see Michael for anything, man. I don't know when the last time is he's seen him, but like that's the one player I want to meet more than anybody else. So tell me about how that call was.
Man, I couldn't believe it. Like, it was surreal. You know, like I'm in my feelings, dude. And then, you know, all of a sudden I'm talking to Bernie Bickerstaff, and, you know, Mike gets on the phone. He's congratulations, welcome. I'm like, fam, am I on the phone with Mike? This was surreal. This was a dream. Like I could have fainted. Like, am I on the phone with Mike? You know, I'm not even piecing all that together. Everything's going so fast. You know, it's almost like, I guess it's almost like, you know, you're in the delivery room waiting for the baby to come. You know, you're a father and the baby comes, and there's no replacing that. Whoa, there was four or five of us in a room. Now there's 5 or 6. Like, you know, there's one more person. Like, it was one of those moments, man. It was huge, and it was humbling. And I was excited. I was ready to work, man.
So you played for Michael, because at the time he owned that team. Mm-hmm. What was it like playing for him?
Man, I think we were growing. We were young at the time. I don't know if tanking was a thing. I just think we weren't good enough to win games because we played hard as heck. We just didn't win some of those games. But I think what people don't understand about Michael Jordan is how humble, how articulate, and how intuitive he is when it comes to the game of basketball, and how humble. He knows the game, man. So it's not going to surprise me if the Hornets turn their organization around under Michael, because Michael knows the game. He's a student of the game. And you talk to him for 4 or 5 minutes, you know, behind the scenes, he knows it. He's humble. He's articulate, like I said, and he's one of the greatest basketball minds that we have. And maybe he's made some poor decisions in drafting, but I'll tell you one thing, he's so competitive. Michael's going to figure that thing out, but he knows the game. And I'll say that. And it's just humbling, you know, having a conversation with Mike, because he's that type of guy when you really get to sit down with him, you know, in a private experience and talk with him. You know, now obviously he's a trash talker and a competitor with the best of them, the best.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Best, you know, but
I've watched everything there is to watch on Mike. Everything. I've read books. I've watched, obviously, The Last Dance. I mean, if there's not a perfect encapsulation of the athlete and the player he was, that's it, man. Mm-hmm. Do you still talk to him?
No, I don't. Forgive me. I don't have the speed pass to Michael Jordan, man. I'm sorry. I don't have it.
I'm going to get there. At some point, I'm going to find a way, and I'm going to get my either conversation.
I know you are.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, I'm going to get lunch with him at some point. It's going to happen. I've been working my way up the ladder.
Hey, man, I was telling you, the skinny kid from Pasadena had a conversation with Michael Jordan. He spoke about my game. That's enough for me. Are you kidding me? Like, that was enough for me, man.
You know, this is the crazy part. I've seen both of his sons play basketball, both at Mater Dei in the Nike Extravaganza. He wasn't at either one of those games, obviously. Man, I'm probably got like, I don't know, 30, 40 guys that are current or former players in the NBA that I talk to. I don't know what it's going to take. No idea. I'm going to get to him. Just want to have lunch with the guy. I just want an hour. That's like, if I was going to die tomorrow and somebody said, you can have anything you want, what is it? Just a 1 hour lunch with Michael Jordan. That's all I want. 1 hour. I'll take it. I'll wear all my Jordan gear. My freaking closet's full of it.
Maybe take your kids or sponsor a kid and go to the Jordan camp, man. That might be your end.
I'm going to have to do something, man. I got to do something. Yeah, I tell you what, man, that's been on my my list forever. So just tell us about your career in the NBA. Highs, lows, some fun memories.
I say, man, you know, you learn that it's a business really quick. And I was really fortunate to play for some, you know, tough and rebuilding situations with some good people. And I had some, you know, decent runs in the playoffs, man, where I got a chance to compete and play and see what that's like. And, you know, playoff NBA basketball is one of the purest form of sport that you have at any level. The adjustments that are made, how hard these guys play, the fans, the city. I mean, you're literally like going to war, man. There's nothing like it. There's nothing that prepares you like playoff basketball. And for myself, man, just being humble, and it almost mirrored my career. You know, my career prior in high school and college prepared me for the NBA to just come in and work hard every day. You know, not look over your shoulder and never know when your opportunity is going to be called, because in the NBA it will be called, and it's a business. So, you know, I've been everything from a starter to a six man to a guy who just didn't play at all, you know, but, you know when your number is called, it's going to be called, and you should be prepared and be ready. So for myself, that was my career, you know, but being a professional, doing the little things off the court and on the court, and knowing that you'd be amazed, guys make it to the NBA and they're lazy there too. They don't want to work hard. They want to complain too, even at that level. Those are the guys I outworked, you know, and for that, the 50th pick in the draft, I outlasted probably 80 to 90% of my draft because of it. So for me, that was just a cool thing. And in like 10 years in the association, like, come on, man, like that doesn't happen, you know, but I was extremely blessed to be able to do that and have those chances.
Let's go through your teams. So which teams did you play for?
I played for Charlotte, Dallas, Minnesota, Cleveland, Boston, the Clippers, the Kings, the Wizards, and the Grizzlies.
Who are the top 5 most famous players you've played with?
Man, I had pretty big ones, man. There may be more. I'll probably say we'll go maybe Chris Paul, Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. That 5. Yeah,
that trio: Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. Man, that was a freaking beast squad. What's your favorite memory? What's your favorite takeaway from all those years?
I think Boston.
Okay.
I got to play on the court with a guy that was on my wall growing up, in Kevin Garnett, and he helped me shape me into being a real professional, and just showed me that, hey, man, like, even though this game is a business, you can love it. You can still have a deep love for this game of basketball and play basketball the right way. And he just redefined my career. You know, I like to think that I was on the way out of the NBA until I got up under Kevin Garnett's tutelage, and you know, he just helped me grow and work from there. So I was blessed and thankful for what he did. But that was probably my funnest year, best year, most memorable in the league. I mean, like, I'm on the court, like, this is the equivalent of you know, Michael might have been one thing, but we'll say semi-under, but this is you, you know, playing the point and hitting Michael Jordan in the corner for, you know, one of those fadeaways. Like, that was playing with Kevin Garnett for me. You know, that's what that was.
Do you still talk to Kevin Garnett?
Nah, man, I didn't speak to him. Kevin's really antisocial, man. He kind of like, he really all to himself, man. He's a
really
my guy, man. Yeah.
So he is a family man, though, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Loves his kids, man.
Because I knew he was married. How many kids does he have?
I don't know the exact number. I don't know if he had any more. I know he had a daughter, you know, at the time.
Okay. And well, who do you talk to as far as like maybe the more higher level people that, you know, our generalized listeners might know of?
I keep to myself, man. I really don't talk to many people, man. I got 4 kids of myself, so my time is, you know, really, you know, at the house. I'm a really quiet, you know, simple guy, man. I get up in the morning, work out, and I'm kind of with my kids, you know, all day. That's my deal. I don't really have time to hang out anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's the truth. So what's the age of your kids?
I have 17, 13, 10, and 4.
Oh, 17-4. Woo! My man, what punishment did you want on yourself?
You know what? It's fair. My 4-year-old, she's like a grandchild, man. That's the one that's easy selling, man. I think she's like the easiest one. That's the funny part. You know, I think I have what sucks is I'm a much better parent. It's not even close to her than the others. They're like, like, forget this guy, man. What is he doing being a good dad now? Where this come from, man?
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay. That's good to have some context so people understand okay. So, because I have two daughters, we're going to adopt a third, but, my daughters, so I didn't meet my wife until I was 31. She was 33. So we met and got married 4 months later. Our first daughter, a year and a half after we got married. And Scarlett's been a super dude. She's like one of the best freaking kids, man. And I always wanted to have 3 or 4 boys. I have a really great relationship with both my parents, but me and my dad have a really tight relationship. I just want to have some boys, and also the family name, unfortunately, kind of rests on my shoulders, which isn't that important. I guess I thought it was more important than it was when I was younger. So I thought it was important to have boys. But I had my first daughter, Scarlett, and then my wife and I had a few miscarriages, and we were told we couldn't get pregnant again. And when COVID happened, we were just still under the assumption we weren't going to be able to get pregnant. We actually found out that we'd gotten pregnant a few weeks prior to COVID. And we found out a couple months into COVID that we were pregnant, and we've had our second daughter. There's a 4.5-year gap between my 2 daughters. So that long story is for this point. Having Scarlett, who was 4.5, and then having a brand new baby, and then having to go back in time to newborn stuff, it's like starting all over completely again. You forget about a lot of things. You, my friend, you have some gaps in those children. I'm surprised. I mean, but after having 3 of them, I would just assume maybe muscle memory takes place for the 4th one. But geez, that is something special.
Yeah, diapers were kind of fun doing diapers again. It was like, oh wow, these are cute. I haven't seen these in a while. Because you do so much of it every single day, and then you kind of forget. And once you're out of them and they're gone, man. They don't come back.
Well, and it is funny, there are so many fun things that you forget about, but man, there's a lot of like things that you just forget about, probably because you needed to get it out of your brain. The one thing that I'm struggling with right now, though, is so we have a 4-bedroom house. The girls have the master room. My wife and I have one of the other 4. This office is technically one of the bedrooms, but I needed an office to do work and stuff. And same with my wife. So we just have this little office here. And then the other bedroom is a guest room, but it's primarily a playroom. So our daughters are in the same room. And I'm trying to, of course, like Talia cries at night when she's not being held, right? We're trying to create that, well, you're just going to cry yourself to sleep. However, my other daughter's in that room. And so she cries for like 20 minutes, and it keeps my other daughter awake. And eventually my wife breaks down and grabs the one daughter. I'm like, dude, we just need to freaking get our pack and play, stick it in the room all the way down the hall. It's the last room, throw her in there and let her figure it out, because it would help. Because I've been sleeping on the couch a lot. We have 2 rescued pits. They sleep with me. We all go out to the couch together, because my Talia, she just keeps me up all freaking night. I can't deal with it, man. I just can't do it. She's like a little heat-seeking missile, and she has to be attached to me. And she's 7 months old. She's this tiny little thing. I'm 205 pounds. Don't want a little backpack attached to me. Also, I've never been pushed to the edge of the bed by such a small human. She's like 8 pounds. And she pushes my entire body every night. I have a Cal King, and I sleep on this small sliver. I can't do it.
Nah, your back ain't allowing that one, bud.
I'm
going for that one.
No, the couch and me have become great friends. And every morning my wife gets up. She's like, when did you leave the bed? I don't know, like 2 a.m. She's like, you're stupid. I'm like, yeah, well, I want sleep. So me and the dogs, we get together and we go sleep on the couch. And that's our thing. The joys of parenthood. So,
sacrifice.
Making that transition to parenthood. So how many kids did you have when you were in the league?
Three. Two for a while, and then Chris came. Chris was actually born in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Bronzetown. So that was a three, and then Eve was born actually when I played overseas, my very last year pro overseas.
Okay. And so speaking about being a parent, did your parenting suffered a bit because you were in the NBA and playing professionally, you were always gone?
Yeah, man, it's tough. You rely on your wife so much because you're not there, and wife has to be mom and dad. Has to be disciplinarian, chef, cook, cleaner, all those mentor, all those things. So it is tough, and when I am home, a lot of time you want to just knock out and sleep, man. And I think there's no like manual to pull from. So when I hear a guy like Kobe Bryant would work out at 5 purposely so he could pick up his kids, I'm like, whoa, brother, that's a different level of respect right there. But it's tough, man. It has its own challenges. In the off season, you can be with your kids all day long. I mean, every single day. And then once that season comes, you're in and out, and you try to do as much as you can, but there's a lot of times you're off and you're going to the road, on the road.
Yeah. Do you have a great relationship with all of your kids?
Yeah.
That's good. That's what's important. I need that. Well, transitioning back to wrapping up here. So you got any words of wisdom you want to pass on before I let you go? Oh, hold on. Speaking of my daughter.
We're gonna go skateboarding.
Okay. Well, I'll go skateboarding with you in 5 minutes. Okay.
In our backyard.
Okay. You shut the door, please. All right. And speaking of children, there is my 5-year-old now. And we took on snowboarding this year because we lived in Southern California until August of last year. We moved to Denver.
Wow.
So I commute to California and back bi-weekly. But so we did snowboarding this year, and she picked it up like that. Literally got her on the board and she was already going. It was crazy. Wow. So I bought her a skateboard. Well, I bought both of us skateboards so we can be skateboarding when there's no snow, so she doesn't lose the aspect of balancing and turning and heels and toes and all that. Although the skateboarding has not been as successful, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what happened, but somewhere in the last, from snowboarding, absolute gangster, no fear. Skateboarding in full pads, the hand pads, elbow pads, knee pads, helmet, the whole thing. And she's little. She's 5 years old. She's not far off the ground. The skateboarding thing has not been successful at all. I couldn't tell you why. There's this huge fear complex that's come in, and we've been working on this. But I've gotten more hurt skateboarding. I'm in my late 30s. I'll be 40 actually soon. Bro, I did not remember how hard the concrete was until I took a bit of a spill. And I took a little bit of a break after that. I was actually not even paying attention. I was looking at her and I didn't realize where I was going down, and I hit this massive divot, launched my body. And again, I'm 6'3". I'm not like a small human. And I took a tumble, my friend. And that was the last time I skateboarded for a little while. Now we've started skateboarding again, but it's been met with resistance. She's been very anti-skateboarding. So I've been trying to like every day be like, hey, you want to go skateboarding today? We can go together. And she pretty much turns me down every day. So this is an amazing moment you just witnessed. She just came in here to ask to go skateboarding. I didn't actually think that would happen the rest of this year. So that's nice. But let's go back to words of wisdom before that interruption. So what are your words of wisdom for people watching this? For people, let's go 2 words of wisdom. The average person that's just living their life, and then the athlete.
I think the biggest thing, especially while you're young, identify what you love first. We live in a generation and a time where you can do what you love. You love video games, you can be paid to play video games. If you love the NBA, you can join the NBA by being much more than just a player. They have many different jobs in different ways. So find what you love, identify what you love, and then work for it. And, I've been privileged in my mindset to have not ever worked a day in my life. I got to play and do something I love, and I get to talk and speak and broadcasting about something I love still, which is basketball, something that I'd be doing for free, either way, sitting around and talking basketball. So Find what you love and let that passion, draw you to it, and then put the work in. And like I said, you'll have never worked a day, in your life.
And then for the athlete.
I would say for the athletes, while that ball is bouncing, make sure you use it and don't let it use you. Take full advantage of everything you have. Don't waste your time, because when your career is over, it's going to be over. All of us have different expectancies and times, and when we play, and sometimes we don't know when that ball is going to stop bouncing. So take full advantage of it, whatever it may be. Jump on it and let those doors be open. While they're open, you step right through them.
And then last but not least, how can people follow you on your journey? I know you have an Instagram, so let's tell all the listeners what it is.
Just check me out at Ryan Hollins on Twitter, the Ryan Hollins. I got a podcast, The Opinionated 7-Footer. Check us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. So check me out on IG. Just put in Ryan Hollins. You should be able to find me wherever.
And I was listening to you for a few minutes. I unfortunately didn't get to listen to you for very long, but your live IG today, I was with my daughter. Actually, we went to the park for a little bit with the dogs. And so I was trying to listen to your conversation, but I was also managing 2 dogs and a daughter, and that didn't go incredibly well for me. But I did enjoy I think I got about 8 minutes in before my day completely went away. But I really enjoyed it. It was great listening to your guys' conversation and just the talking about the different players and the breakdown of different players. And for me, speaking my language, man, I love that stuff. And I could listen to that all day. So I really enjoyed it. But is it just basketball that you guys talk about on your podcast, or what is it?
Well, on the podcast, we mainly interview guests. On my Instagram Live, I'm going to talk about whatever's hot in the day. Obviously, we're going to try to stay hoop-centric. But for the podcast, we'll have a specific guest that will step in and interview.
Okay, awesome. Well, I love it. Well, thank you so much for being part of this today. And thank you to all my listeners. Again, you're with Steven Basita on my podcast, Get It. We are on the Social NOSTRA Network, and we are on every platform Ryan's on. We're on Spotify, Pandora, we're on Apple iTunes, we're on a million different things I couldn't even tell you. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Please like us, comment, subscribe, follow. And of course, you'll continue to get the updates and everything that we're doing. And we thank you so much for being part of this journey with us. And Ryan, thank you so much for being with us today and just talking to us about your journey. I think it's really important for people to get context and understanding, just how hard things are really can really be. But the one thing I love about your journey the absolute most is how hard it was, and you never gave up. And you had an amazing career in the NBA, and you've got all this amazing stuff to show for it after all those years. I really appreciate that. And I think it's very important for people to hear, because, we hear about the LeBrons of the world all the time, which are these athletes that are born athletes and just dominate their whole career and end up where they're at. But 90% of professional athletes didn't have that. And I think it is important that people get to hear that. So thank you so much. And thank you, listeners, for being with us today. And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.